would like to welcome you to Access Learning Training Lesson 10. And in today's lesson, we're going to create a form with the tabular view. We're going to be adding a record in the form. We're going to be looking at the properties for a form field and the overall properties. And then we're going to change the form view and we're going to delete a record. Alright, now we're getting ready to create our form. And like I said, we're going to be doing a tabular form. So I'm going to click on state once, the table, because remember we have it broken up into tables, queries, forms, and reports. And we'll go over to create. And the form we're going to go is a wizard. And notice that when we do this, there's only one field in there, and when we select it before going in, it picks the table we want. I mean the form we're going to, the table we want to do the query. But if for some reason we want something else other than we selected, we can switch that up right here. But I'm going to select all of them, all the fields in there, which is 1. We'll go next, and you'll see that we have a column view of the form, but we went to tabular, and notice it brings it across like a spreadsheet. Data sheet is very similar, and then you got the justified, but we're going to go with the tabular. We're going to go next, and here again it's going to throw a title up there as state, but we're going to edit all that information ourselves in the design view. So we're going to go ahead and hit finish, and then when it comes up, you're going to see it has a border. It is larger than we want. Alright, so it's a border larger than we want. It does have a switch from record to record, and we do that. You'll see that it just goes from the first record to the second to the third. So it's bouncing the records. If we wanted to add another record, such as KY for Kentucky, we can do that right here, and it will add the record. Well, we already have Kentucky, so we made a mistake, and we want to delete Kentucky, so we can select right there and delete. So it will delete. We can do all that in this area. Now I'm going to switch over to the property sheet and the form view, not the form view, but the design view. Now I showed you that you could do it through this area here, but we can also right click on the tab, and at the bottom we have a design view. Now, one of the first things I want to do is I want to change this information up here, and I'm going to say space state input form. And what's nice about Access is it's real easy to bounce back from one view to the other. So you can see that right there, state input form. Alright, we're then going to look at this field itself. Now here again, it is too large right now. It's just too big. I mean, we only have 2 letters in there. So one thing we can do is we can drag it in like that. Alright, we can also change the width here. And it was 1 point something. I'm just going to just make it 1 for now and see what happens. I'll hit enter. Alright, it changed it to 1 point. So I'm just going to do it here. I'll view it before I make any other changes. Alright, it's really close, so what I'm going to do real quick is just bring it down to here. and then I'll drag the footer in. Usually the rule is if you can read the writing, you're usually pretty good. Alright, so we're going to drop this down. And the next thing we want to do is we want to remove that scroll. And what's nice is that scroll bar is right here, and it says scroll bar vertical. And we're going to tell it none. Alright, so that when I go to view, we no longer have a scroll. Now, the next thing is if you want a border or not, that's going to be your call on that. If you want a thicker border, that's also possible. And I'll just show you real quick how you can mess with the borders. But you'll say border style here is solid. Border width is hairline. You can make that larger. And here again, you could do a 4-point. And if we view it, you can see it thicker, but that starts to cut the letters. Now you always have the undo. Alright, just remember that you always have the undo up there if you don't like anything. You got font style here, font size, font name. So that's all there in the design area. Now we'll just look real quick at data. We're not going to touch anything, we'll just look at it. And the control source should say state, but it's not for some reason. So but that should say state right there. I'm not going to mess with the record source. Alright, that's where it should be. We have events that if something happens, that it will change the data information. But we're going to go back to state here. And we're just going to look at different fields here. Here's our width, right? And auto resize, we could add that. Fit to screen, border. This is all form properties and not the state. Okay, but in the form property, navigation, yes. Record selector, yes. All right. And then we have data, right? Allow additions, allow deletions, allow edits, so we can turn all this off. All right, so let's take a look at what we got so far. And you're going to see that we were able to delete and add a record, but let's go ahead and let's add we're going to say New York. We're just going to do a capital N but a lowercase y. And then we're going to click out of that. So that will then add that, right? So we have New York. We are not in alphabetical order, are we? Now that New York's down there. So what we're going to do here real quick is we're going to go back and edit this and put a capital Y. Okay, so that then keeps our table in order. Not in order, but if we hit ascending, that then changes our form to be in order. Descending, right, the reverse order. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our table or our form in a single view. So we're going to change the view from being tabular here. Alright, and we're in form view here, right? And we're going to look at our different types of views here, or I mean our different properties for the form. Alright, it's got our default view is continuous. We're going to drop this down and do, and here again we can do data sheet, we can do split form, but we're going to do a single form. So I'll click on single form so that if it takes, we're going to look back and notice that it's just Kentucky, and in order to get our different forms, or I mean our different states, we click the arrow to the next one down here at the bottom. We can click the next one, and then if I go and I need to add, I just click here and I could do CA, and I go back to the beginning, right, and I can then, or if I hit this one, it takes me all back to the first record. That takes me to the last record. We just add Canada. Alright, so this will allow us to navigate from selection to selection. But here again, if we select the field, we can delete here. We can cut or copy if we right click. Alright, so we do have the deletion where I can delete, right? I can delete record. So what we're going to do real quick is we're going to close our form. And then we'll look at our state database real quick. And you're going to notice that both New York and California has been added. So what a form does is allows us to interact with the tables without creating horrendous problems. That's the end of lesson 10.